So getting back to the cookie cutters and keeping it simple, I did these little teddy bears, and obviously they were pretty easy to do. You can also do, like we were talking about, little dog bones. And if you want to make the cupcakes, you know, a little bit more fun or add a little twist to it, sometimes we put wires in. And then we just sort of put the wire right into the cupcake, and it looks really cute. So you might have a fire hydrant, again a cookie cutter. You can have a dog bone. And then in order to decorate them and jazz them up, we'll take what's called luster dust, and we'll just, it's an edible glitter, and we'll just paint it onto the fondant when it's dry, and it just adds like a nice sheen to it. Everyone can eat it because it's edible, and it really looks nice. So those are some of the things we do. Or like we made these little poodles, and instead of leaving them plain, we just put some glue on, edible glue, which is nothing more than warm water and gum paste melted in. And we painted the edible glue on and poured the nonpareils on, and they stuck, and it looks like fur.
That's so adorable.
Yeah, it's simple, but it looks like you spent a lot of time doing it, and really you used a cookie cutter, pink fondant, and some nonpareils.
So tell me about the dog connection. Obviously you guys are dog lovers.
We are. We have several dogs. We always adopt dogs, and we have 3 right now.
Great.
And the MSPCA was one of the organizations we really wanted to do some work for because we believe in what they do, and it's really rewarding when you do things with the community, because the community then responds in kind, and they really want to support you and help you to grow. So it's a really nice sort of
yeah, it's a very
give and take. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you do find, you know, I always say that there's karma in business. You know,
absolutely.
You do good things, and chances are good things are going to happen for you.
So if you're not into like the cookie cutter thing or the doggy thing, and you want to try something a little different that actually looks a little more sophisticated, one of the things that we also do is called embossing. So again, using my trusty cookie cutter, and this, by the way, the circle is your most valuable cookie cutter to have. We take some fondant. And we roll it out.
So you want this to be not cold, but not super warm either, right? So
right,
correct. So just so it's workable.
You'll get to know it, and you'll know when it's workable. And
yeah, I know.
When you're covering a cake and your fondant starts to get sticky, what you want to do is you want to use some cornstarch on it, because the cornstarch will help to absorb the stickiness, and you'll be able to maneuver it better. Then you don't want to worry if there's cornstarch on the fondant, no matter what color it is, because you can just take a brush and brush it right off. It comes right off.
And that won't affect the flavor.
Absolutely, not at all. But when we work on the modeling, we use the Crisco because it keeps it from sticking to our hands. Because your hands obviously do get warm, so you want to be able to maneuver around the fondant.
Does it need to be the solid Crisco, Tracey, or can it be?
Yeah, this is what we've used, so I've always had good luck with that.
Just not olive oil.
No, no, you don't want to use olive oil. Jess, have you seen the stamps?
Like you can see back here, there's a suitcase full of interesting cookie cutters and toppings and decorations.
They're like rubber stamps.
Tracey, have you ever done a demo in somebody's house? Have you ever taught any of this?
No, actually, the closest we've done is we'll do build your own cupcake parties where we'll deliver like naked cupcakes, frosting, and then all kinds of sprinkles and candy, and it's really fun because the kids can be really creative, and they seem to really enjoy it. This is what I was looking for.
That'd make a great birthday party, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's
a lot of fun.
So getting back to where I was, when I roll out the fondant, I take a stamp. And what you want to do when you use a stamp is use one that has a lot of white space. And I just randomly stamp the fondant.
I so wish we had our angled mirror so you could kind of see what Tracey's doing here. Oh, that's
Then
really
it's really pretty. And then what I do is I take the circle and I don't perfectly line up the hearts that I made. I do all sort of different angles, and that gives me a circle, and there's an imprint of a heart in it. So to make it look a little bit fancier, what we do once it dries is we, again, take some of the luster dust that we have and we brush it across the embossing, if you wouldn't mind passing that. And as you can see, it brings the design up, and it's pretty three-dimensional, and it looks really pretty on top of a cupcake. And what you'd want to do is just cut the top of the cupcake, put a little bit of frosting to adhere it, and lie this on when it's wet, and then it will dry hard and it'll be really pretty. So it's just something else different that you can do. If you go to like a Michael's, you'll find all kinds of acrylic stamps that you can take the fondant, lay it on top, and roll over it with a pin, and then pull this off, and then you have a design, and you can sort of color with luster dust, and it looks really pretty, and it's different. You can also, if you're careful, do it along the base of a cake as well, as like a repetitive pattern.
Does the luster dust come in different colors?
It comes in all kinds of different colors. A lot of those beautiful flowers that you see people make out of gum paste, which I am just not talented enough to do, they use something called petal dust. And what they do is they mix petal dust with some grain alcohol like vodka, and they paint the petals, and it's so vibrant and so beautiful. So if you wanted to paint on the side of a cake or on the top of a cupcake, you could do that, and it really looks lovely.
Why the alcohol?
You don't want to use water on gum paste or fondant because the water will dissolve the sugar.
Okay.
The alcohol, once it's emitted into the air, it evaporates immediately. So that's why a lot of people use the alcohol.
Okay.
And if you wanted to paint a piece of fondant, if you had a piece of white fondant you wanted to paint with a really different color and you wanted to use a food coloring, you would buy a powdered food color and mix that with some alcohol, and then you can just paint and it'll dry. If you use a gel or a liquid, it will never dry. Trust me, I made that mistake, and that's how I learned.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to learn almost anything. It's just a trial and error.
Danielle and I took 2 classes, and they were great, but the bulk of my knowledge literally came from reading online, Googling something I wanted to learn. There's a million tutorials on YouTube that very talented people are willing to share with everybody, and they're proud of their work, and it's great. They'll post what they've done, and they explain step by step what they've done, and you can learn a ton in your own kitchen just by going online. So I highly recommend looking at all the sites, looking at all the cake blogs, magazines like Jeans. They have wonderful articles, and every little thing you pick up is fabulous, and it's so helpful.
Do you have a favorite cake decorating show or baking show?
I really like Ace of Cakes. It was the only one I really liked because I'm not into the reality,
competitive stuff,
the nasty yelling and all the noise. And Ace of Cakes was always a very upbeat show. And
does anybody here watch Ace of Cakes?
It's a great show.
It's really fun. I had the opportunity to interview him, and it was a phone interview, but I had him on speakerphone, and the person who was in the room with me had to leave because they were laughing so hard. He really is that funny.
He seems like a really nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
Some of the other techniques that you can use that are pretty simple that are different are called, one's called marbling. Danielle, will you pull me out a piece of glue, please? Marbling's really helpful if you want to do something, if you want to make something look like a piece of wood, or something look like a marble base, a granite base, and pass that out. We use that a lot if we have to create water, and I can just show you real quick how we do that.
Looks like a piece of red cedar.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's really amazing. That's what I'm passing around when you guys are done.
So modeling's pretty simple. You want to take the colors that you want to mix, and you certainly don't have to do something like wood or water or stone. Okay. You can also take different colors like pinks and mix them together, and it just creates something very pretty and something different, and a different look.
So that would happen in the stage where you're...
Yes, what I do is I make 2 cylinders and I put them together. And then I just start mixing them.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Twisting them together like this.
How are we doing over at the table here?
And then once I have it reasonably mixed, I find some pattern that looks interesting and I just roll it.
This is great. We got some good creative stuff going on here.
So what happens is you end up with something that looks like this.
Oh, isn't that neat?
And we've used this before when we've covered a cake. We had to do a Disney theme. We don't make Disney characters, but if someone wants a Disney cake and there's something we can do that relates to the character, like we did the Princess and the Frog. So we made a fondant frog, and we covered the cake with a small pond, and we made lily pads and flowers. And we did something similar to that to replicate the water. So,
is that because Disney's so fierce about licensing? Or?
No, it's just I don't think we do them very well. And I really think that kids are disappointed if they don't look exactly like what they envision. So
yeah, that's not what the Little Mermaid looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So we stick to what we can do.
That's
what you do want to remember when you work with modeling is you can, after you break a piece off, you can refold it, re-knead it, but you're going to start to make the colors solidify. So be careful how many times you
if you want
start
that sort of marbled look.
to re-knead because you will lose the marbled look. One of the things that we like to do actually on the theme idea is I'm a big fan of classic stories, nursery rhymes, any of that sort of
Classic children's
classic children's literature, thank you. And we have the occasion, we're working a fundraiser for Rosie's Place in Boston, which is a fabulous women's homeless shelter. The people there are phenomenal, and they're having their Safe and Sound charity event next month. So we were asked to donate 2 dozen birthday cupcakes. So I gave Danielle the boys' cupcakes, and I'm doing the girls' cupcakes. And I wanted to do sort of like a tea party, Alice in Wonderland tea party. So I went online and I looked at some things that other people had done, and then what I decided to do, I think some of them are being passed around now. What you see coming around are some pieces that we did sort of like prototypes, so I could see what they'd look like and where I might run into some difficulty and what I'd like to work on. So I think that's going to be the theme that I use for the little girls' party, and it's just really, again, a lot of fun, and I don't know, it's just...
It might, maybe it would inspire kids to read, too.
Well, that's exactly it, and again, it's not very Disney-esque, so it's going more with the old traditional Lewis Carroll
That's nice.
Books, but it was very fun to do, and I learned a lot from working with them, so...